All right, so we got a 2015 Rubicon in here. It's got about 50,000 miles on it. 2015, I think I said 15. It's got about 50,000 miles on it. He went to the dealer for an oil change and tire rotation. They came back with like an $1,800 bill. 600 of it was for rear brakes, and I'll show you why that price is probably a little bit inflated. Anyway, I'm going to show you a few parts and what happened to make these back brakes go bad so quick. All right, so this is the slide off the, or this is the caliper bracket off the axle on the Jeep, and normally you have slides hooked to it. This is your slide. This should always be greased. It's got a boot on it to keep dust and stuff out. That goes in here like that, and of course it should have one on this side. And what happens a lot of times is, especially on this one, it's a little weird because this Jeep's not that old and not that many miles. But these two are like this, and then your caliper bolts to this, and these actually slide when you hit the brake. This actually slides up and down. That allows your caliper to move freely to grab your rotor, which is right here. And if one of these or both of these, usually it's one, is seized up and doesn't move, your caliper won't move and compress. And then normally what happens is one side of your brake pads will wear faster. So you can see here, this is the outside pad. It's still probably got 50% of its life left. And what happened was this one here, obviously, this one seized up. So this is the inside pad, and it's metal to metal. And you can see here, I don't know if you can tell, it wore this rotor real bad. So this rotor needs to be replaced. Pads need to be replaced, and normally you can kind of work these back and forth. They're seized up, and they'll come off. I barely touched this one, and it snapped right off. You can see it snapped off inside there. So I'm not going to drill and tap that out or try to get that out, because if it seized that bad in there, then who knows what's inside here. And you want this to be nice and clean and the way it should be. You don't want to have, you don't want an oversized hole or whatever. So anyway, you can buy just the bracket, a new bracket. This was from O'Reilly's, and it wasn't super expensive. I think it was around 40 or 50 bucks. And I don't think I've never drilled one of these out because I don't think it's worth doing. So anyway, the Jeep needs a new rotor. We're putting new pads on the back, and a new slide pin. O'Reilly's does sell those slide pins separately. I think they're like maybe 11 bucks or something. I'm not sure. And we'll put new slide pins in this side and new pads and get it back on the road. But I just want to show you, if you ever do brakes on your own, always take these pins out. Now this Jeep's never had brakes. It's rear brakes, and it's never had brakes done before. So this was just some other kind of issue. Maybe the boot had come off, because the boot kind of goes around your slide, the hole here. Maybe it come off at one time and allowed water to get down there. I'm not sure what happened on this particular thing, but a lot of people that just do a lot of pad slaps at home, they call it where you just slap the pads on. Don't take the time to take these out. Always take these out. Take the boot off. If there's any kind of corrosion or anything on these pins, clean them off real good in a wire wheel, and then lube them up. You can buy, like I use, I have a big, huge bottle that I use of brake lubricant. But if you don't do a lot of brakes, you can get the little packets at the auto parts store, and those work just fine. And just lube these things up, because if that caliper's not able to move, you're going to end up with a bad rotor like this one, and obviously bad pads. So that's just a little video on the carnage sometimes that happens on these cars. And the dealer wanted 600 bucks. I'm not sure. All these parts together was around 200 or so. So I don't know I'm sure they replaced the bracket and then whatever else. And then, of course, they wanted to do a bunch of other maintenance stuff that the Jeep doesn't need. So that's why it came up to such a big bill. But anyway, we'll get it done a lot cheaper and get it done right, and shouldn't have a problem with this anymore. So anyway, I just want to make a little video on lubricating your slides and what can happen if you don't. So that's it. We'll get this put back together and get this hoopty back on the road.